everybody, hope you're doing marvelously well. It's loud, but we did come inside because outside was really loud, and it is the NAMM Show. This is our 5th time here. Well, it's like my 20th time here, but it's the 5th time here as Produce Like a Pro. So it's going to be rather wonderful, rather marvelous. We're doing lots of great giveaways. We're going to do a What's New. We're doing some Fact Fridays. We're doing all kinds of wonderful stuff. And truly blessed to be able to do this and bring it all to you. Please check out the video. Hey, Philip from Austrian Audio, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank
You'll
you.
have to stay in English, my German's not very good. Okay. So.
No problem.
I know a little bit of the history of the company, that it started as ex-AKG employees that left, should we say, another big company took over the company. They closed the Vienna factory, apparently, which is quite sad because the factory had been building beautiful microphones for decades.
Yeah.
And then many of you left and started this company, Austrian Audio.
That's right. And the nice thing about the whole situation was that it gave us the possibility to develop really new things, like the CKR12, the capsule that's inside this microphone. And it gives us the possibility, because we had time to develop it. In a shareholder valued company, it's sometimes very difficult because you need to get a return of investment on projects very soon. It took us almost 2 years to develop this capsule. So that was a possibility that we wouldn't have had in the other setting. Not talking about the past, talking about the future. This capsule is based in its acoustical and mechanical properties on the CK12 capsule, but it's a new design with a ceramic ring. The ceramic ring gives us the possibility to hold it together with just 3 screws and reduce the production process time and the whole production process yield to a very reasonable amount, because we do this capsule in Vienna, and we do the whole microphone in Vienna. So we have all the production based in Austria. We're proud of that. Obviously some parts come from outside of Austria, but the whole manufacturing is in Vienna. But when we talk about a microphone, we just wanted to do just another multipolar pattern microphone. We thought if we do that, we want to give it some additional features. So we have the typical settings on the front of the microphone, but if you set it all the way to the right, then you have the possibility to add up a dongle to the back of the microphone that has a Bluetooth transmitter in it. We have intentionally not included the transmitter inside the microphone because we know that music professionals freak out about Bluetooth too close to their devices. Also, you can't hear it, but nevertheless, you only attach it when you need it. What you do then is, I have to put it up on my smartphone here, for example. I'm gonna hold that in the camera. You have the demo mode here, but that's how it would look like. And what you can do is you can modify the polar pattern while you're using the microphone to any setting you like. Actually, it's 255 steps, so very small steps that you can set up your favorite polar pattern. For example, if you go for a broad cardioid and say, okay, this is my favorite pattern, I'm going to use that all the time. You simply unplug the dongle from the microphone and you store this setting on the very right position on the microphone. So you can always put it up again, even without the dongle. So if you own more microphones, you just need one dongle to program them all. If you use it in a live situation, you also have the possibility to adjust the filters, or for example, and this is running in demo mode because it definitely should not look like this, you have an override monitor here. If it gets too loud for the capsule, then you will see a red spike here, and then you know, okay, I have to turn in the pad.
That's great. So the question is like, so you can do that in real time, which is amazing, especially obviously like you were saying in a live situation where you don't have the option to go back and retake. But also would that be available as like a plugin as well, so you could do it post-recording?
Exactly, that was the next thing I was to talk about. You can use the second output that's on the back side of this microphone also to plug in a small adapter cable. Then you have 2 cables. You can record the front and the back capsule separately, and then you can go in post-production with our Polar Designer. And the Polar Designer allows you to modify the polar pattern in post-production. But not only that, but you can also do it dependent on frequency. So you can choose, for example, for low frequencies, you take an Omni. For the mid frequencies, I don't know, cardioid maybe. Maybe you have a room that has very cool reflections. You maybe want to use only the back capsule for the high frequencies.
Sure.
You can also all do that in post-production. You won't lose anything. You can also change your mind. You have all the possibilities.
That's fantastic. So tell me a little bit more about the capsule, because yes, I get asked a lot about 414s, obviously, or 414s, and the CK12 capsule.
Yeah.
So originally they were a brass ring, and then AKG moved to what? They went plastic or something?
Yeah, nylon.
Nylon, that was it. Right.
Plastic ring. And this was simpler for cost reasons, because with all those little screws that needed to be adjusted, it was a pain to produce them. So there were days where they would only get out 4 or 5 good capsules. And you can tell that the production time was simply too costly. This is why they moved to the nylon ring, but a lot of people complained that it left off with a inferior this 414 is not a bad microphone, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's a good microphone, but people love the sound of the old CK12 better.
Right. Yeah, that's basically what people tell me. They tell me that, and I can't remember all the differences between the E and the this and the that. Do you remember that?
The
little complicated.
The suffixes of the 414, but I don't want to talk too much about history.
Of course, yeah.
But that's more or less if you have a transformer inside or not.
Yeah.
So
I see.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So you've gone back. You've gone back basically and have a superior capsule design because of it. Because that's fantastic. You've got this new technology. The app is a big deal. Yeah. I can really see that being very, very useful in a live situation.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people are going to love that. I've done many live in studios where it's a sort of controlled environment.
Yeah.
So it's not like a stadium or an arena, but you've only got one, it's being filmed, so you've got to get it. So that makes this really unique. What's the SPL on this, do you know? Top of your head?
If you have the pad to 0, it's 148 dB.
That's great.
If you put in the pad, you really reduce the voltage on the capsule by half, so that gives you 2 dB extra. So then it can take up to 158 dB.
That's great. For live, that's perfect.
That's sufficient for even very motivated trumpet
even
players.
Brass.
Even brass.
Yeah. That's great. So it really does fit the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for telling us all about it.
By the way.
Oh, more.
By the way,
no.
This retails for $9.99.
Great.
Which is, I think, a very good price.
It is for made in Austria.
For made in Austria, and with all the features. The plug-in is for free download on the website. The dongle comes extra. So if you want to have the dongle, that's $149. But you only need one if you just want to program them. You need more of them. Just depend on. And for those who like the sound very much but don't care so much about all the other features, we have a cardioid version that's cardioid only for $6.99. That's the one in black over there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Tom, what do you have that's new? This looks rather...
brand new, exciting product.
Yeah.
It's a harmonic microphone.
It's great. And it's a little smaller than other ones, shall we say, that I've seen.
Yeah, and there's a good reason why, because it makes playing much more fun. Because you can grab it with your hand. It's lightweight, but still a very robust product. And it's so easy to grab it with just one hand, right next to your harmonica. And of course, if you cup the microphone, you can get an awesome sound. It's much more easier to play than any other microphone.
You know what? God bless you. Think about this. If you're designing microphones and stuff like that, everybody's competing trying to make a U47 clone every day. I mean, this is not the world's biggest market. So by doing this, that's really, my hat's off to you, because it's a great thing. I mean, to spend time and energy designing something like this is really great. Yeah, it's smaller than the Green Bullet that we're all famous of, or the 55SH. Those are famous harmonica mics. This is much smaller. It looks the part. So if you're a blues player, you're going to feel great with this. Yeah, that's great. I'm impressed.
You're welcome.
I want to hear it now. It's called the Harp Blaster. For those of you who are not blues fans, I'm sure you can figure out that the harp is a harmonica. Really, really great. Is there any unique features apart from the fact that it sounds good and it's small, and anything else you can tell us?
The very special thing about it does not only look like a vintage microphone, it also sounds like a microphone. We've been in contact with almost 20 international top hub players and discussed with them how the product should sound like. And actually, everybody was talking about products that have been manufactured in the 1940s, 1950s. Very, very old products. And they said it's a pity because all these old products, they become obsolete. It's hard to get a good sounding one. They're very sensitive. If you drop, they stop working. The sound quality is not that consistent anymore. And if you buy something nowadays off the shelf, you don't get that great vintage sound. So what we did is we designed a product that not only looks like a vintage microphone, it actually also does sound like a real good vintage microphone.
Great. So this presumably is a volume control?
Of course, yeah.
So you can push into a tube amp, obviously, and drive it harder.
That's the idea, yeah. Especially
if you're skilled, you could control that while playing.
Of course, yeah. You just take the microphone, and if you want to control the volume, it's so easy, yeah.
Yeah.
But on the other side, if you perform, you don't touch it unintentionally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great tool to get the full dynamics, and also we designed a special capsule that has a very high output, which is a must when you really a good blues music. You want to drive your amplifier, yeah.
Drive your Fender Bassman 410.
For example, yeah. As long as it's a good tube amplifier, you're good to go.
Marvelous. Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. We're at Audeze. How are you?
Good.
Shankar.
How are you,
Warren?
Shankar.
I didn't mess it up. Yes. And Kapil, of course, I know from Embody.
Pleasure meeting you, Warren.
And if you've watched our San Francisco Music Expo episode, you'll know that we've been doing some stuff with Embody. And we are obviously, these guys are partners together to do something incredibly exciting with Audeze headphones, which I'm fairly new to. I used to go to VK all the time and see them there, and the salesman owned the headphones, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, most of our headphones are made in LA, Orange County here, just down the street. Most people know us mostly because of our planar magnetic technology. We pioneered it in like almost 10 years ago.
Wonderful.
We make our own film, we make our own magnets, and we are like a little unique company there.
Fantastic. And you have some new headphones out.
Correct.
What's the model name again?
So it's called the LCD1. It's our most affordable headphone for mixing and mastering.
If Matt was to open my bag now, he would see that there's a pair in there.
Yeah, there's one here as well.
Yeah, but I've been traveling with them.
So this is the LCD1.
Yeah, these are great.
It's lightweight, easy to use, and very linear.
Yeah, very linear. Yeah, I've really been enjoying using them. And I think for me, I've been traveling with them a lot now, because I travel a lot. When I'm in a hotel room, I had some headphones. I had a couple of things over the years that I've gone in and out of favor with. But I like these because they are so flat.
Correct.
But the exciting thing is we're partnering
with Embody.
We've now done this. Would you describe what is? Oh, it's gone to sleep. There it is.
Absolutely. So my name is Kapil, and I'm the CEO of Embody, and in partnership with Audeze, we are launching Reveal Plus. And Reveal Plus is the very first plugin in the world which personalizes your auditory anatomy in real time, and it virtually transports you in some of the iconic studios in the world, like your studio, for example.
I wouldn't say mine's iconic.
It is iconic. It sounds beautiful. It sounds beautiful.
It's a good sounding room, but I appreciate it.
So our goal is to basically, for people who mix and master on headphones, to give them the confidence, okay, your mix is not, when you go to your studio or when you release it, it's not going to sound off. So our goal is to see, okay, can we take it that extra step and give you that confidence that your mix will be good when you take it outside. So, and what better way to do it than to actually have emulations of real studios and personalizing it for somebody's use.
Wonderful. If you zoom in here, you'll see that is Eric is holding the camera. So Eric, you recognize this place here? How many?
It's the studio.
How many? Oh look, you just got it.
I just got it.
How many thousands of hours have you sat there in your life? Tens of thousands. Yeah.
So one of the things, Warren, actually I wanted to mention is that virtual studio plugins have been there, right? For the over the last decade, many virtual studio plugins have been launched. But if you put a pair of headphones and you try virtual studio plugin, it never sounds like you are actually there. And the reason it doesn't sound like that is because when when these rooms have been recorded in past, either they have been recorded with microphones, whether it is monophonic or stereophonic, or even if they have been recorded in a binaural way, they have used a dummy head. So the reason it doesn't sound like that you are actually present inside that studio, because that virtual studio plugin does not know anything about your unique auditory anatomy, right? And that is a missing piece of the puzzle. In order to virtually transport you as an individual with your unique auditory anatomy, there are two fundamental pieces. Not only the studio, the acoustics of the studio has to be modeled, but what is unique about your auditory anatomy, that has to be modeled as well. And once you do that, then we can transport you inside some of these beautiful sounding rooms, and you will have an experience that you are sitting in front of that console where Warren you sit, and when you are mixing using your monitors in the sweet spot, and in reality you might be in your bedroom and mixing over Audeze headphone on a hotel room.
Yep. Which is very likely for me.
Yeah.
I'm currently in a hotel room, and about 2 weeks ago, I spent a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's non-stop.
Many
it's what
people,
we do.
It's a gig economy. People travel all over the place, and you need to be able to get and check your, QC your products everywhere.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's and the reality is, even in home studios, it's not always the best environment.
Correct.
So if you can get something you trust, like you have a room like, oh yeah, I loved when I went into that room. That was an incredible sounding room, but I only can afford to go in that room when I have $2,000 a day to spend.
Yes.
Now you've got somewhere to check. And also, I think the other thing is like a lot of ideas that I love like this share one thing in common, and this is what I call the why not factor. Like, why not? Why would you not want to have access to a lot of different environments where you can check your mixers?
Yes. Yeah,
It's really, why not?
Yeah.
What have you got to lose to be able to put on a pair of headphones where you've measured the pinna of the ear, so it works for you, and you can go, I'm not sure about the low end. You know what? Let's see what it sounds like in that studio. That's pretty good. And that one, yeah, it's not bad. Oh, it's really good. Oh, you know what? My low end's good.
Exactly.
It's just for that factor. It's what there's certain products, and yours is exactly that. It's what I call the why not. There is nothing to lose, only things to gain. I mean, especially the ability, like I said, just to sit on with my laptop on the couch in my own room and listen in other environments, rather than running out to my wife's car and listening. And actually, I don't even know if my wife's car takes CDs anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody does CD anymore.
Exactly. So you can virtually audition your mix in a car environment, right? Without leaving your laptop. See, another thing which I wanted to mention is that before Reveal Plus, the only way for people to characterize their unique auditory anatomy was for them to travel into some anechoic chamber, sit there for a couple of hours, put microphone inside your ears, and then measure the room response. Certainly this is not scalable, and it's not accessible to millions of people worldwide, right? Yeah. So that is where fundamentally what we do at Embody, and in partnership with Audeze, we use the power of cloud computing, power of machine learning, right? To take a single image of your right ear, send it to our servers, and within 30 seconds, your personalized auditory profile gets created.
And I've done this. We did it in San Francisco, and you literally turn it on, turn it off, and the difference is absolutely massive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really massive.
And your brain also can perceive it much better. Once your HRTF is set.
And I would say this: like, we have an academy, and we have 3,200 and something people in there, and there's everybody elevate their work, and they all help each other. It's an incredible experience. But at the end of the day, you can teach the same information to 3,200 people, and they can all learn it, but the results are all different because of this, because we all hear differently. I know people that mix, no matter how I tell them, they always give me what I think of as being too much low mids. But to them, they're like, no, your mixes sound like they don't have enough.
Yeah.
So something about their pinna is like giving them a different experience, where they just dial in an extra dB of like 300 hertz, where I pull an extra dB out. So I think this is a very, very important thing. And yes, the difference is like, obviously it's not something that can be explained, you have to hear it, but the difference between, when you turn the plugin on and off after you've read the ear, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so after you received your personalized HRTF by submitting your image.
Yeah.
So, and as you said, it is real time.
Yeah.
And not only it is real time, you can do a to B. So it is fully transparent. What I mean by that, you can turn off your personalized profile and you can turn on your personalized profile and you can instantly see the delta shift in your experience, right? Not only the shift in your experience, you will hear the details in your mix, which you probably didn't hear before.
Yeah, I agree. Right. So you guys got together. Tell us a little bit more about the partnership.
You know, Audeze, some of the amazing sounding headphones Audeze makes, right? And the motto of Audeze is uncompromised audio. Reveal the details behind your audio. Planar magnetic headset, Shankar, which Audeze makes, they're beautiful sounding headsets, right? And of course, for every mixing and mastering artist, right, they take their experience to a different level altogether. You can hear all the details pristine, clear, and an uncompromised fashion. And so when we are developing this particular plugin, we are looking for, you know, a company which understands that vision that, okay, what is the future of mixing on headphone and how can we work together to bring this experience?
So the market is also shifting, right? More people now experience audio on headphones than on speakers.
Oh yeah.
Right? And the question is can we take, you know, a lot of people are now using headphones in their mastering solution. From Manny Moroccan to everybody, they use headphones in their part of their mix. Right? But the question is can we, there's always this doubt, you know, I mix on my headphone, will it translate well? Yeah. So our goal is to see if we can reduce that barrier so that you can mix on your headphones and you can be confident that it'll sound good. So we want to give you that authentic sounding room with your personalized audio.
I also like on the plugin that you can dial in the strength of what the room is doing.
How much you want to have room.
Yeah, so you can have the more, you know, full frontal assault of a pair of headphones, and then you can bring in the ambience of your room, which is nice. I think one point that's really important, I think, with the headphones things, if you are an audio professional, you should also be mixing on headphones.
Correct.
Because the reality is that's the way people are...
That's the way people are consuming music nowadays, actually.
When I was at Abbey Road, we talked about a couple of months ago, I was at Abbey Road with the Waves Abbey Road one. They launched it, they had retailers there checking out what they were doing. And somebody raised their hand and said, oh, I hear that headphone sales are going up 40% a year. And one of the big retailers, like the biggest in America, we all know who that is, put their hand up and said, no, last year it doubled for us. Doubled.
Yep.
So if you're not at least checking your mixes on headphones, you're really not understanding that your audience is going to be looking. My son, virtual reality, he's got a pair of $600 headphones I bought for him, like that was his Christmas present. Yep. You know, all his friends are buying Beats and expensive headphones and all this stuff. It's like, it's foolish not to be in that world.
Yeah, totally.
Although I wouldn't buy anything as colored as Beats. Sorry, Beats. For what we do, we need to have, you know, flat response headphones.
Good sounding headphones,
so that's a goal of a good headphone, right?
Yeah.
You know, you already spend hours mixing it to make it sound good.
Sure, absolutely.
Our job as a headphone manufacturer is to basically preserve it and deliver it as your intention is. You know, we don't want to color the sound. We don't want to increase it. You know, if the user wants it, he can add it in an EQ. Absolutely. So the most neutral headphones are probably the best sounding headphones as well.
Great, fantastic.
And as a partner to Embody, right? Like as a partner to Audeze, Embody is a technology provider. It kind of a very seamless integration to, at the end of the day, elevate user experience, right? So the way I look at it is, you know, we are developing products and technologies, right, for artists, right? And it cannot be developed in vacuum. It cannot be developed alone by headset companies or technology providers like ours. It has to be developed in collaboration with artists so that we can take that particular feedback, improve the products, and take that, you know, that last 1 mile, we always say that is where everything shines, right? Yeah. And that's why I'm very excited about this particular partnership which you have with Warren.
Absolutely, very excited indeed.
Yeah, because you got that particular input, right? You know how your studio sounds. And for all the people who are going to try Reveal Plus on Audeze headset, we want them to be virtually present inside that particular studio.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Game Sound Con a couple of months ago, and it was amazing. But I was completely baffled why I was pretty much the only producer and engineer and mixer there. Yeah. I'm like, come on, people! It's just like it's the biggest like audio and visual market in the world.
Absolutely.
Go to Game Sound Con next year.
Absolutely.
Go there.
Yeah.
And like you go there and you see people coming up with these incredible ideas, you know, like 3D spatial stuff in stereo headphones. You know, somebody gave me a product and I moved it around my head and the sound traveled around my head. Yeah. So as audio professionals, get involved in this. The headphones, this is not the future, this is the now. This is the present. It's a big deal.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, fantastic.
Thank you.
We're here with Harry from Audient. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I got a little bit of the lurgy, the NAMM,
Yeah,
so I'm not going to like
stay away.
thrust out the hand. Now, you have a rather wonderful new product, which I
We
heard
do.
little inklings of, shall we say.
Yes.
It's the Evo.
Yes. So we've basically launched a kind of new sub-brand from Audient called Evo, and so we are now showing two lovely new interfaces. We have an Evo 4, which is a 2-in, 2-out audio interface, and an Evo 8, which is a 4-in, 4-out audio interface.
Wonderful.
The whole difference from Evo compared to Audient is we're trying to make recording really accessible to like a load of people. So not just musicians,
We
but
like
also podcasters and streamers and gamers, as well as, you know, musicians, singer-songwriters and stuff. So it's got some really cool little things on there which will help with that.
Like what? Tell us about it.
So in its sort of core of it, it's 2-in, 2-out. So you've got two mic pre's. These are new Evo mic preamps.
Yep.
These are different from our console mic preamps, and we've designed them differently because they are digitally accessible. So depending on the software you're using, you can actually access them from software. But
Wonderful.
You can also access our lovely new feature called Smart Gain, which basically will automatically set the levels for you when you press this button and press the channels you want and press it again. Automatically set the levels. So
Which is really, really great.
Perfect for beginners who are unsure about how to set levels, but also for people who are maybe working on their own and their little recording setups away from their computer.
Yep.
And for people like me who are just a bit lazy and can't be bothered to set levels.
Right.
So
when you're doing quick demos.
yeah, exactly. So it's just a really quick way of just staying in the moment. It's got a JFET DI input, so it's a really nice sounding instrument input for your guitars and basses.
Wonderful.
Speaker outputs, headphone outputs. It's all run over USB, so completely bus powered. And each preamp has full 48-volt phantom power. Other than that, it's all controlled on the unit itself. So we've tried to make it a bit more friendly for people. So everything is controlled using this knob, essentially. So you can control your outputs like that. You can manually set your gain by pressing that and controlling it like that. And as with some of the other products that we do, it's got a direct monitoring, so you can get completely latency-free monitoring of your inputs by pressing this and then rotating it and blending between your inputs and outputs.
Great.
So that's on the unit itself, but we've also got a loopback feature. So for people who, again, looking more towards streamers or podcasters, they can record the output of their computer as well as their microphone and basically sync it all up in the same audio session. So great for tutorial work as well if you're maybe capturing your DAW and stuff.
Very smart.
Yes.
And it's very sleek.
Yes, it is. And it's got some very pretty lights on it. It should look really nice on your desktop.
Wonderful.
And work nicely.
And I think the best thing is, how much is it?
This is $129 MAP.
That's fantastic.
Evo 8.
That really is an entry-level product. That's fantastic.
And Evo 8 is $199. And this is essentially the same thing, but it's got 4 mic pre's, 2 sets of outputs, and 2 sets of headphones, and it will come with a software mixer, so you can basically create little cue mixes and headphone mixes.
That's great. So for $200, you get 4 ins. That's amazing.
And all over bus power again.
Yeah, and they're substantial, but they're fairly light.
Yep, really portable.
And I love this finish, so you don't get fingerprints all over it. It's rather wonderful.
Yes.
Andres, how are you?
How are you? Thanks.
We're here with Jay-Z, obviously. What do you have that is new you would like to tell us about?
Well, this is a huge year for us because we took over Lewitt Microphones product line and these 2 new mics, the Amethyst and Globe. These are vintage mics, high-end vintage mics, and we saw so to speak, huge demand for vintage mics for the last couple of years, especially from Lewitt's side. So we decided that we need to take that extra step.
So you're all one big company now.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really, really wonderful. So, and they sent us a Christmas present of this beautiful microphone here, the Amethyst. So tell us a little bit more about this.
It's Amethyst is equipped with a 67 type-ish capsule. It's actually my favorite mic and my favorite capsule. We all love 67s, you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's a fantastic vocal mic, and it also works amazing on ground piano. It's a very, very nice vintage mic.
Wonderful. What are these going to retail at?
Retail is around $1,100.
Marvelous. Great. And do they need a power supply that just runs straight off Phantom?
It's a runs of Phantom.
Straight off Phantom. Wonderful. So I'm very excited to be talking to Ryan from Access Analog. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
We had a little chat about this.
Yes.
But this is me seeing it in the real world. So tell us what is going on. I want you to explain this.
All right, so we have created robotically controlled analog hardware in the cloud. So you use our plugin from wherever you're located. You stream audio to this equipment in the cloud. The plugin controls all of the hardware remotely. We have cameras tracking the meters. You get real-time control, real-time metering, real-time monitoring. So now you can get real analog processing from anywhere.
It's amazing. This looks like a lot of research and a lot of work.
It's taken us about 4 years to get here.
Great.
And so we just recently offered 2496 resolution streaming, so you can do full resolution audio. And you also get benefits that you don't get when you don't have robotics. So you have full recall, presets, automation. You can build signal chains of up to 5 devices. And in between each device, you have a wet-dry blend knob, so you can easily do parallel processing. You have gain slider to adjust the gain between devices.
How much is it?
So each piece of device, it's reservation based. So you reserve devices when you need them. So if today you want to process your drum bus and you want to hit a G compressor, it's going to be $6 for a half hour.
Right.
And so you'll pay per device. So you can assemble signal chains as you need them.
So when did you officially launch?
So we launched in October. We were at AES this year, and we're now live and ready for you guys to log in. You can connect right now and start streaming audio to hardware in the cloud.
How many of these devices do you have? I mean, this is, you get busy.
Great question, slowly but surely. So if you check in and our schedule is busy, be patient. You might have to plan ahead a little bit, but we're going to continue to add equipment as we grow.
Great. Absolutely amazing. And it is literally accessanalog.com.
Yep.
We'll have links flying around, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have a coupon for you guys as well. Thanks, early adopters. You can try it for free for an hour.
Great. Very nice. And is there any highlights, any particular pieces that people would be very excited to be able to use?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of curiosity around the new SSL Fusion. We have that in the cloud if you were wanting to try that.
Great.
We've got a pair of Pultecs. You can stereo link the controls on all of our mono devices. So we've got a pair of distressors, pair of 1176s. We've got a Neve 33609 in there. We've got a Black Box HD2, a Silver Bullet from Louder Than Liftoff. Yeah, get in there and try some stuff. There's plenty of good toys.
Fantastic. Hello, everybody. I'm with Maria Ayerbe. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Of course, from Leapwing. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
No, we're so happy to have you guys. Yeah.
So what do you have that is new at NAMM?
Well, we have the new version of Dyne13. We have really taken the time to listen to all of your suggestions, everyone. We have a great relationship with our customers. They are very friendly with us, and they write to us, and they asked us to do several changes. So we heard you guys, and we have addressed several of those. So one of the it could be like a very dumb feature, but it's actually pretty cool. I love it. We have a fully resizable window now.
No, it's huge.
So this is huge. It may be a dumb thing, but this is actually huge.
No, Eric and I were shooting a tuition video last night, and all the plugins we were using wouldn't resize.
That's the thing, and then we know that there are some customers after 50, they have trouble looking at the screens, whatnot, and then maybe you are mastering, because our plugin is a really good plugin for mastering, so you're really working those bands. You really want to be able to, you can actually save the configuration, and it'll be stored with your session when you open it back up. So it's a very simple but really pretty cool feature. Now, if you remember from Dyne12, before you had to click on each band to access the controls. Now we've actually simplified everything, and once you hit this drop-down menu right here, all the controls for the 5 bands are accessible and ready to go. So this is actually quite simple, because you can think about, you don't have to like, oh, what did I do on my low filters? Just like everything is there. So that's a pretty cool feature that we have.
Fantastic.
Now we've also added sliders. Some people would say to us, I'm more of a slider person because I really want to feel the attack. I want to know where that peak is crossing.
It's an easier visual cue.
Right.
Just to see a percentage of how far across it is.
Yes, that too, and just a feel thing. For both attack and release, we're still doing we have a minimum and a maximum, both attack and release times. So those ones are still have the slider feature, and you can actually move it like this. So that is a pretty cool thing. So this is just one of the basic, very basic features. If you look closely, also the settings have been added here, not as a separate tab. We have added on the crossover filters, we have added the Master Q quality. It's a fully DSP quality for rendering through the plugin, so it's heavy on your DSP. So if you are using it for mastering, we highly recommend it. If you have a slower computer or you're using several Dyne ones across your session and you're really dragging and lagging, you can actually either choose the low latency or the Ultra Q. And we've added this new feature called the Offline Render Master Q. You can choose to turn it on, so when you're bouncing, it's going to go to full Q master quality. So that's pretty good, because we're trying to utilize as best your DSP processing, so you don't have to take the toll on like your computer and your workflow.
Fantastic.
Also, we've added a global band trim, so you can actually go like -50 or +50. It's basically the same feature that we have here for the input. The input only goes only until +12. I started like experimenting, just like playing with one band, saturating my 808s. So if you want to do that, you can just like really pull 50 dB up and start playing with that one band and just creating some sort of harmonic distortion out of the plugin. So this is a really cool feature if you want to just really go at it. Another thing that we have in here, parallel mode can be turned on and off, which is pretty awesome. So it depends on what you're doing, how you want to work around. These settings are pretty much the same: detection, channeling, weighting, the band compensation gain. You can actually turn it off, so it'll be fully manual, whatever is happening on your output. And then the filter sub, we've added a steep and a gentle slope across the crossover frequencies. So depending on what you're doing, you can choose either both. And last but not least, and what I want to show you, we've added center side. So basically now you can run Dyne 1 either on left-right conventional stereo mode, or you can actually do center side. The cool thing is that, from the other Leapwing products, you got stage 1 and you got center 1. These guys really have taken the time to analyze what is actually considered center, not just what it falls into the middle, but they've actually have an algorithm analyzing the center, and they have incorporated from the other two plugins the same technology into Dyne 1. So now you have the multi-band analyzer working for Dyne 1, so you can get real parallel processing of what's a real center image and what's a real stereo image. So once you activate it, you can actually have them linked, so you can actually work center and side link, or you can unlink them and just work them separately. So it's fully customizable.
That's amazing. I'll go back a second. The steep and gentle, actually, I tried it out. It's actually quite a huge thing for me.
Yes. Yes. How come? How do you feel like? Do you actually feel it more organic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's too steep a slope, and you start hearing the EQ changes, and the gentle just. It depends on where I'm using it. If I'm putting it on a master bus, I want things to be a little bit more subtle. I don't want to hear things.
But if you're going for drums, you really want to keep those bands separate. So the steep is actually going to work pretty well. Yeah, that's
marvelous.
pretty cool. Yeah.
And the center technology is ridiculous.
It's amazing.
If nobody's heard that, you can download this. I don't know how long the period is. It's a free trial.
It's a 30-day
30-day free trial. Just download it for the 30-day free trial, because once you realize that you can treat your center and sides so differently, it's huge.
And then, for example, with stage 1, is as simple as having 3 sliders. With 3 sliders, you can really isolate your center information, and then just do whatever you want. It's crazy, but it works really well, and it's quite simple.
What I think this would be is for a lot of people is this. I have guys that are going through 30 years worth of demo tapes from when they were a kid.
Right.
And they're trying to find all these fancy tools, and they're ending up with like 8 plugins to try and remaster their 4-track cassettes. And this is huge. Start dumping digitally all that stuff. I mean, it's such an amazing, simple tool to use.
Right, that is correct. And then, for example, with Leapwing, also they have been the guys have been working on actually improving the algorithm. So when you literally open it up, it's seriously good. The difference between Dyne 1 and Dyne 1 2 and Dyne 1 3, how much improved the algorithm is in the detection settings. So just on the default, you will listen how it's acting, and it's fairly nice. I mean, and then again, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a dummy if you're using the settings or the presets." I love the presets in here. There are some pretty cool things in there, and you'll find that they actually, when it says tight bass, it's like for real tight bass. Like you don't really need to move that much. So I'm a big fan of exploring those features as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks ever so much for taking us through it.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much.
So with Martins at Sonarworks, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Have you having a good show thus far?
Thus far, it's the first day, and it's been already amazing. So thank you.
It's pretty crazy busy already.
Yeah.
And you just got back from CES. How was that?
It was actually very good. It's exciting. We're bringing the new Sound ID by Sonarworks out at CES.
So that's what we're going to talk about. What is new? Exactly. So tell us about what is new.
What Sound ID is, it's a technology and an application that crafts individually perfected sound for each individual. It starts at the studio reference sound level, which is the sound that the creators hear when they create music, but then it finds your preference of sound and it adjusts for your hearing. So you start with picking the accent color, and then you find what headphones you have, and then you go through you pick the track that you would like to listen to while creating your Sound ID, and then you go through a series of ABs where you get to compare the sound on the headphones, pick whatever you like. The algorithm tries to figure out what question to ask you next, and then it analyzes those answers, and it creates your Sound ID. So ultimately your Sound ID is a curve, but we wanted to kind of make it more appealing for a wider listener audience, so we crafted your unique Sound ID as a pattern. It's algorithmically calculated from your preference. And then for now, the app is in early access, meaning you can download and create your Sound ID, but you can't yet experience it really on the other apps. So we're coming out with a full launch first half 2020, when you'll be able to connect it to a desktop application, to a headphone, to a streamer. So we want this to be like your Sound ID that you've crafted, that's best possible sound signature for you. And you can eventually connect to various different devices around
it's a great idea.
the world. Yeah.
How much is the app?
The app is for free.
Okay, great.
And we see it being brought out to the user as a part of different products that they use. So we eventually see a way of working with different manufacturers to bring this feature out. For the end user, it holds the promise of, hey, we'll bring the best possible sound for you as the listener, whatever device you pick, whatever headphone you kind of use, whatever eventually car you drive. But I think it actually has a very interesting angle for the creator, because for the creator, the main intent is to deliver kind of emotional impact. They want to create music that their listeners like and that is engaging. And currently, they are delivering, I mean, no matter how good job you do in the studio, with or without reference, right, it still kind of sounds different for everybody out there. So, in a way, those different devices, headphones, speakers, whatever, they might get into your way because to some extent they are randomly selected EQs that people listen to it. And this holds the promise for the listener that, hey, you actually hear the right way of music, and for the creator it means that you start with what you hear in the studio, and that's the kind of basis for the whole story, but then each individual listener gets to hear their individually perfected version of their song, which means the chance of your music being liked is maximized. So you're kind of delivering a million different versions to a million different individuals of your song in a way that they particularly like and enjoy it, which I think if it works out the way we think, then we'll be done with the translation problem.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
That's something that we feel very excited about, and we hope to do our best with this. And
that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of exploration into technology like this, and I think this is very, very smart. This is another step that will add to it. And we've been talking with a lot of people how headphone sales have been increasing 40% a year every single year. And a couple of months ago when I was at Abbey Road, there was a big American distributor, the biggest one, we all know who it is, that said they doubled their headphone sales last year. Doubled. So you've got to be embracing, technology.
People
like
are
this.
listening more and more thing on headphones.
It's insane,
Now the question is, how do we deliver exciting sound to them?
Great. Fantastic. Well, thanks for letting us know.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm sitting with rather wonderful Howard Benson. How are you?
See you, Warren.
Great to see you too. When we saw each other, I was about to say, last time we saw each other at Sunset Sound, but it was, unfortunately, it was Craig's memorial, wasn't it?
It was very sad.
This is some of the stuff we'll talk about in an interview, but I think is it Lauren at Little Caesar? Is that the name of the band?
Yes.
Who did that record in the late 80s?
I did Little Caesar, that's right.
He told me that you guys worked like 18-hour days, like everything you possibly could to make that record great.
That was a tough record to make.
Yeah.
That was, I think one of the band members left, but I always thought Ron, you know what I loved about Ron? I saw him in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who gets thrown out of the window by Arnold in the pool hall.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, man, I'm producing that guy. Like, I didn't even think of him as a singer. I just thought he was the guy in the Terminator, But
to me, we do this for a living, so it's like, it just speaks, because that's what we have to do to get where we are.
Oh, absolutely.
Is make those records where
you got to do the 10,000 hours, as cliche as it sounds. Times 4.
Yeah.
So
definitely. So you have a new plugin with Joey.
Yes.
It's the Howard Benson vocal plugin with JST.
Yes.
I think we got it right.
So it's this, I would summarize, it's like the Swiss Army knife of vocal plugins.
Fantastic.
And because I've throughout the years gotten known for being a vocal producer.
Right.
So, and I have a team of guys, and I have a lot of guitars, drums, bass, all that stuff. But to me, when I focused on the vocals, that's when I really started selling lots of records.
Great.
And I just thought, people say, well, how do I get that sound of yours? And I thought, I'm not giving it away,
Yeah.
And then I ran into Joey at somewhere, and we were just started to talk about stuff, and I threw a crazy idea at him that's part of the vocal plugin. It's called the Vocal Multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I use a lot of modular synths, and I use this thing called sample and hold, which is a random number generator, which gives you random notes in the synth, right?
Yeah.
What if we applied that to a vocal, and we're able to generate, like when you wanted to have more vocals in your sound, you could generate more vocals but using random numbers, as opposed to just a sine wave or a square wave, where you'd have that, like on the harmonizer, it's just a sine wave.
Sure.
Stuff like that. So he said, I'm not sure we could do that. And then a couple hours later, he called back. He says, I think we can actually do that. And I said, why don't we just do the whole thing?
You know why I called back and said that he could do it? Because he wanted to do it.
He wanted to do it.
Yeah. So he called people and said, how can we make this happen?
Yeah, and he
That's
actually did it. The first iteration, I turned the knob, and the knob is the same. It's like amount and input amount, and then how many vocals you want.
Mm-hmm.
And what it basically does is it just generates more of the original vocal, but randomly. So the pitch and timing is not just done as one specific waveform. It's random numbers are coming in. So it sounds like bunches of people are singing behind you.
That's amazing.
And it's a pretty cool way. I'm not sure if anybody else is doing that, but I thought, well, I want to do it.
Not like that, no. I mean, there's lots of different, pitch change and sort of random things, but not the way you're describing it.
Yeah.
Now I need to hear it, of course.
Yeah, and I used some vocal effects like that on lots of like Flyleaf and Theory records and stuff where they wanted more of that, but it never sounded the way I wanted to. So I made this work. The other thing we did, which is you'll know from an SSL, being an SSL owner, our vocal chain is basically compressor, EQ, then you have the effects, and then you have a limiter. So it's really straightforward. We put a button on it where we can push the EQ before the compressor.
Which we all know really is the sound of an SSL.
That's the sound, right?
Yeah.
So I said to Joey, we need to put that button on there because trust me, this is going to, not a lot of other plugins do this, but if we can put that EQ over the compressor and then smash the EQ, as you know.
That's the sound,
And all of a sudden, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the sound. So we did that, and then we put the effects, and then we have a limiter at the end, and I said, look, if we're going to be able to move that compressor, I want to move the limiter too. So now we can move the limiter after, so you can go like EQ, compressor, limiter, you can smash the hell out of it. So, and then you can go to your effects, or you can put the limiter at the end and smash the whole thing with the effects. And the effects are basically the vocal multiplier, a widener, which Joey's already had in some of his stuff. But what we did with it, this was Joey's idea, was to press a button, and instead of it widening the bottom end of the vocal, it leaves it in the middle.
Good.
So it's vocal, so it only widens sort of like 100 hertz and above. So it doesn't sound wacky, like when you have the low end doing that. Then we have a traditional delay.
Yep.
Very simple ping pong or mono delay with timing in it. You just set it, forget about it. But then I said, but when I do that, and I started thinking about it, what am I doing when I mix? I never use the delay in full fidelity. I use it in lo-fi mode. Mm-hmm. So the delay blends in more, so it's not the thing. I just make it like that. So we put a lo-fi button on it.
Nice.
Very useful.
Yep.
And then we have a reverb, very traditional reverb.
Because delay becomes dirt. Like you just want
that's right.
The energy.
Yeah, and you don't want to hear that. Yeah. So and then we have that, and then we have the limiter. So we also have a lo-fi button on the EQ because I said, well, if we're going to put it on the delay, how many rock bands do I work with or pop artists that go, I want my vocal in the B section to be kind of radio-ish or blah, blah, blah. I said, let's just put it in there. So boom, you put it in, it works. So
great.
That's why it's a Swiss Army knife of vocal plugins. And we put about 100 presets in. Starting presets, my engineer, Mike Plotnikov's, and a bunch of other people who I really trust. And so you can start off, if you're not really good at this stuff, you can just start off and go right to the presets, and because that's how I use plugins. Yeah. Like when I pull up plugins, like Chris Ordalgi's stuff, who I use a lot, I usually go to his presets and just use I don't change anything. So this is kind of what I decided to do with that. And Joey was into it because I don't think he had done a preset thing yet. So we made
it makes perfect sense. Stuff. I mean, the best plugins I like, usually the attack and release are set where you want them to be, and then you can just adjust them.
Yeah. In fact, Joey's compressor he put in there is no attack and release. It's set the way you have two things. You have the knob, it turns it all the way up, and then you have an automatic volume control, so it levels it out. Those are the two things I use anyway. Yeah. Like I don't really care about the rest of that stuff. I'm working so fast that I can't worry about, I'm not a knob twiddler. Yeah. So that's kind of how we built the plugin, not to be a knob twiddler, Yeah. Although we've given it out to all these people who are going, hey, I use it on the drums. I'm like, you do? Yeah. Neil from 3 Days Grace, he says, I use it on every track.
Well, I always feel like if it's working on lead vocal, then it's great for the guitar solo.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
Keeping that same space.
It's almost like the vocal is sort of the canary in the coal mine. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't work on that, it's not going to work anywhere else, really. So, I think that people are going to have a lot of fun with it. If you are a knob twiddler, you're going to have fun with it. Yeah. But if you're not, you still have fun with it. So
fantastic.
So there it is.
So, what's new at NAMM with Colin from BAE? How are you, my friend?
What's going on, Warren?
I'm good. So you got something new?
We do, the 73 EQL.
Lovely.
If you remember the 1073 of yesterday,
of course.
Imagine we pulled the EQ out of it and put it into a 500 series unit. 3 bands. Sonically, it's going to give you everything you're expecting of a 1073, maybe a larger filtered version.
That seems like an increase on EQ points, am I not right?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of goodies in there. Yeah. While we're doing things like this, we always want to shake it up and give you a little bit more.
I love the 270 on guitars. That's a really nice thickener. Because I remember on the PQ 1061s, the Cowrex, those are really nice. I know that was a BBC spec, I was told.
Really?
Yeah, the BBC.
That I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm sure people will debate me, and I could be wrong, because I usually am.
I think the Produce Like a Pro family will welcome your information. And it's going to be affordable.
Okay,
We're going to work that out.
Okay. Glad to see it.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
Always good to see you, Warren.
We're with Roland from Eve. How are you, my friend?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. And you are my friend. That's what's so wonderful.
Thank you very much.
So, what is new for you at NAMM 2020?
We have a new loudspeaker, of course. We are a loudspeaker company.
Good.
So here's a new model. It's a 3-way model called SC3070.
Wonderful.
And I felt a gap, or I felt there's something missed between the 307 and the 47.
Okay.
So, and my idea was to have a tweeter mid-range section from the 47 in a speaker with an even smaller footprint. And the result is the 3070.
Great.
With one 7-inch woofer, 4-inch mid-range driver, and our tweeter.
Great. There's not many people making 3-way, speakers at the moment, especially in a smaller size like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. What are these going to retail at?
It is around $2,000 per piece.
Okay,
Perhaps
great.
a little bit more. We don't.
Fantastic.
So, and it comes as a right and a left version.
Okay.
They have to be symmetrical, and And what we also have, it's a known front knob operation where you can do all the volume and filter adjustments from the front. And also we have implemented this function that if you switch off the speaker with the mains or from the back side, that after switching on the volume releases slowly, so that you can jump to the master fader if there's a loud signal still on the inputs.
Great. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. We're Roman from Lewitt. How are you?
Hi, marvelous.
Good. I'm glad you're doing marvelous, my friend. Now, we're doing What's New at NAMM, and even though it's not actually officially out, this is definitely, it's quite ballsy of you actually to announce this and show people, even though it's not being manufactured yet. So,
right, because it's a highly collaborative effort.
Good. We like collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's our project 1040 we are very proud to reveal today.
Great.
And it's actually literally 10 years in the making.
Nice.
And along the way we had a lot of participation of musicians and recording engineers. And today we are proud to reveal it to the public.
Great.
And yeah, as you put it best, it's not finished yet.
Right.
And we are continuing to call people to participate.
Great.
In making it the best product it can be.
Fantastic. So, can you take us down? What is going on? What have you done?
Well, we started with the vision of creating the ultimate microphone system.
Yep.
And at the beginning there was an extended dialogue with friends from the audio industry. Yep. And very often you would hear, well, I have this favorite microphone and it fits perfectly for this application, right? And so we thought, when building the ultimate microphone system, we need to make sure that it fulfills all these great notions of what a great sounding mic can be, right?
Yeah.
And next step was choosing technology. So we figured actually that tube technology provides the greatest flexibility in achieving different sound characteristics. Because if you think about a glowing tube, maybe you're thinking about warm, saturated, dark sound, whereas your friend thinks about hi-fi-like clean sound.
Yeah.
And all of that are valid true tube characteristics. So the ultimate microphone needs to deliver on all these different notions of what a great sounding microphone can be, and all these tube characteristics as well.
Yep. Because you have the 940, which is very famous for having that, you know, between the FET and the tube. And I've always loved using it because, and I've said this many times, but say it again, it's a great way of separating your vocals. So I'll go full FET for background vocals and full tube for lead vocals. And just those subtle changes means that I've got a lead vocal there and just the background sit there. And it does a lot of the work for me.
Yeah, provides a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
And we wanted really to extend all this concept.
Yeah.
Because the ultimate microphone system gives you the promise to be able to record powerful rock vocals, as well as a smooth jazz singer, or a fine violin, or a screaming guitar. It needs to do all of that. So we ended up in choosing 4 distinct all-analog tube characteristics.
Right.
We named them clear, warm, saturated, and dark.
Right.
And we wanted to be absolutely sure that we are on the right path.
Now, can you do me, while we're talking about it, I totally understand what the difference between clean and saturated.
Yeah.
What's the characteristic difference between warm and dark?
Well, so at warm, what we do is basically we make the highs a little bit more, or less harsh, a little bit more pleasant. And with dark is basically we go even a step further.
Right.
So again, the highs are very warm suddenly, but also they're taken a little bit away, so it gets a more darker tonality.
Right. I still think it's sort of quite close in description. Do you feel like for the dark, with the warm, are you giving it a low boost at all? Are you?
That's also a possibility.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
'cause I know you're still working on it.
We're still working on it, and we are exactly after such kind of feedback in order to learn about how to fine-tune and optimize it best.
Right. Fantastic. I did get to hear the prototype the other day, and the saturated is really, really, really good.
Right.
Yeah. Really nice. Very, very. Lots of harmonics in it. Very rich.
Yeah.
But not brittle. It's like, it's what you want. And of course, the clean has always been it's a characteristic of your microphones. what we've liked about Lewitt Microphones is the fact that they're very modern in their approach, meaning you've always delivered something that's very accurate. The 940 is incredibly accurate, meaning people can blend and create the sound right in their DAW. Right. So this is an interesting approach. So you're still going to have that. So you can still have that optimal clean tone, so you've also got coloration.
Right.
Yep.
There's still a super accurate FET circuit in there.
Yep.
And you can blend it seamlessly with the 4 Duke characteristics.
Yep.
And this time we have 2 separate outputs, one for the FET channel only, and another one for the mixed signal, for the hybrid FET blend.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that leaves you with all these possibilities.
That's great. Yeah, I like that. So ultimately you could give them a sound that works really well in their headphones, that you're also recording, but you're playing it safe. Safe is the wrong word, but you're also delivering a clean sound if you choose later to manipulate in a different way.
Right.
Yeah, good idea.
Now, with all that flexibility and all these different sound characteristics, you are now able to sit in your sweet spot and basically being able of dialing in all these sounds. Well, here's the question: how to do that best, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, leaving your sweet spot in the monitoring room, going over to the recording room and changing the settings, not being able to hear them, is not a good solution. So you will have actually a remote control on your studio desk, and therefore you can sit in your sweet spot and dial in the perfect sound for your application.
Great.
So that's, I think, an important way to revolutionize this recording workflow.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I ever worked at Conway, they had the mic breeze in the wall with a remote control. Very similar sort of idea that I could sit there and I could remotely control these preamps while listening in the right place. And yeah, that kind of flexibility makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So you've exploded the whole thing out. There's a lot of detail. You're being really open and honest about how you're putting together, which is refreshing. So wait there. There's 2 tubes or is it 4 tubes?
So actually, we're still not settled on the final choice of the tube.
Okay, so these are the options.
These are the options. What we know so far, it will be a JJ tube, and we are playing around with different overtone patterns and gain settings.
Right.
So this is the kind of flexibility we have still in this project, and which we like to explore with professionals all around the globe.
Great.
It's also a possibility and to sign up for beta testing on our website.
Yeah.
And over the course of the next weeks and months, actually, we are going to put frequent updates on our website to follow.
Right.
Yeah.
So I see things I recognize: 12AX7, ECC 83s, which I think are almost interchangeable, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the same.
They're the same, yeah. They're just one's the British one, one's the American, yeah. Right. Or European and American.
Another model is the 12AY7, which we are looking at.
Capsule?
Capsule is a custom designed 1-inch true condenser capsule. It's a multi-pattern capsule. And seamless polar pattern control is available. It's also possible to reverse the polar pattern.
Yeah.
And they are actually, both diagrams are perfectly matched. So in production what we do is we are matching the front and the back diaphragm to achieve an optimum polar pattern.
Fantastic. Well, any other characteristics you want to talk about?
Well, we've used everywhere premium components. So, for example, nitric connectors, 12-pin nitric connector. We're using for the shock mount die-cast, aluminum die-cast for lightweight and stiffness at the same time.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we've got our 3D printed prototypes with us.
Great.
For testing.
It looks like it's going to be beautiful.
Yes, it will be, definitely.
When do you think it'll be in production?
Well, we really want to take our time since it's 10 years in the making. Sure. We really want to do this right. But it's foreseeable towards the second half of this year. We hope that we can put it into production. Yeah.
So as far as like when you're in saturation mode, for instance, you've got 4 settings here from between 0 and 18 dB, minus 18 dB, sorry. So that's really how you're going to control how hard you sit in saturation.
Correct, yes. That's an important thing to do because saturation window is around 15, 20 dB.
Right. Right. Filters I see from 40, 80, and 160. That's great. And then it's just a phase reverse down the bottom.
Correct, it's for inverting the polar pattern.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're using actually a switching power supply.
Yeah.
So it will be super safe and easy for power.
So, and that's all going to be contained in the same box. So you just take the remote off and... Yeah.
Right. It's going to be a zinc die-cast housing, very sturdy, very roadworthy.
Great. And this presumably is what's it made of?
This is the power supply unit made of zinc die-cast.
Oh, so okay, great.
Yeah. That's the remote unit, zinc die-cast housing as well. And we can look at the 3D printed prototype. So these are all functional. They're 3D printed. Yeah, it's the microphone.
Great.
And again, on the back side, FET output, mix output. That's the connector for the tube. And the remote control is connected with the 3-pin XLR cable, standard studio wiring. Therefore, super easy and super handy.
Great. It's going to come with all the cables and everything. And
of course, of course. Well, shock mount, pop filter.
Double check.
It's a complete microphone system.
Yeah. I have to ask, because I bought things before, and they're like, oh, you have to buy a separate cable to connect it. You're like, what?
No.
You'd be surprised. Fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thomas, how are you?
Awesome, man.
Fantastic.
Great to see you. Finally made it to LA.
Absolutely amazing. So this is your newest...
It's the new guitar. It's a Skipper. So it's like obviously a Jazzmaster kind of thing.
Yeah.
Slightly smaller body, so it's not quite so unwieldy.
Yep.
Mastery bridge, so you can do anything on the tremolo, anything you like. Give it a go. Stays in tune. So,
nice.
Roasted maple neck, ebony board.
Beautiful.
Lovely,
super slinky.
Custom knobs. They go through the plate machine, so it has that last 5% of mojo.
Really, really nice.
Nice knobs.
And it's light.
Yeah, it's really chambered. Most of the area under here, even between the pickups, we chambered it out.
Gorgeous.
So it's not too unwieldy. Or nitrocellulose lacquer finished, you know.
I love the matte finish on the neck.
It's oil and wax. It's oil and wax.
Oil and wax.
I stole that from my Music Man guitar I had when I was 20.
Oh, nice.
And the wheel, the adjusting truss rod wheel.
Those are very underrated guitars, the Music Man.
Yeah, they're great. Loved it. Graham was sat 1 foot from you yesterday playing this guitar.
He was over my house a couple of weeks ago, and we did a breakdown of song number 2.
Yeah.
Which is got 140,000 views.
Yeah.
Which
He's
is
here tomorrow?
Yes, and I know he's doing soft tube tomorrow.
He's here tomorrow.
Do you know what time he's doing soft tube?
No, he'll be here though. We'll probably yeah. He's quite keen to see a whole load of stuff tomorrow.
This is absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks, man.
And what's it going to retail at?
They retail in the UK about 3,100. Right. So I'm talking to a couple of dealers here, so keep your eyes peeled. But then that one isn't, that's for sale in Andertons. That's the Andertons Emperor model.
Oh yeah, I saw Lee the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, you set them up so slinky.
Well, it's got Kurt Magnum strings on it, that hand welded over here.
Really?
Yeah, and they feel a gauge lighter than they are.
So what gauge is this?
They are 11 to 48.
Really?
Yeah. When you take the wound ones out of the packet, even when you put them on the thing, they don't do that thing. They just kind of like...
Yeah, they feel sort of nice and almost spongy, like nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And
The wound ones are spongy, and they last for ages. They don't. So again, that's got Chris Buck's single coils in it, and the Radio Shop 50s path in the back.
Well, that's got a lot of punch.
Yeah.
You've got some drive.
Yeah.
There's back pickup, bridge pickup.
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. Really nice. Rather love it. I love the color. And this is all slinky and smooth and like, yeah.
We're going to have to arrange something, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
We'll arrange something more.
I definitely, that looks rather interesting to me.
Well, that's Graham's model, that grading one he had, I made him.
Oh, do I have to, can I have Graham's model? I mean,
yeah.
Should I? He had, you know what? He has a Yamaha Rev Star that he uses that he got from me. So maybe I should get the guitar that he has.
Sounds like a 335, so it's mahogany backed, maple top. It's all chambered all through the wings, so it's nice and light.
Oh, this is so light and easy to play.
Try the back pickup with some drive, just 130 seconds. Give it that bit of drive again.
It's beautiful. I love handmade guitars. I mean, God, you feel it all. You feel all the craftsmanship. You feel all the love.
Pushing the love into it.
How long does it take you to build this?
It's 5 or 6 weeks. The paint takes a long time to do. All the curing process and the buffing and the sanding, that takes a long time.
It's gorgeous. Great work.
Thank you, man.
Fantastic.
Good to see you.
Jackson from MXL, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. So I must say, we've been working with the Audio Test Kitchen guys, and they have had your mics and everybody's mics, and there's been a lot of blind tests done by lots of different people.
Right.
And even your cheapest mic, which I think is like $100 microphone, is testing very, very well. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you very much. We get that a lot, actually. A lot of roundups, a lot of shootouts with our mics often take out. They're kind of sleeper hits because they are very affordable. They're very inexpensive mics. That doesn't belie the technology inside of them, right? So they're very well-designed microphones. They're all individually designed, and the circuits are made in Los Angeles. And even though they're affordable mics, they're not cheap by any means.
No, and look, my hat's off to you because you are helping people get started in the music industry. This is a big, big deal. If somebody has a limited budget and they've got something that performs really well for the price range, that's amazing, because that's what we're here to do. We want to bring people in from the ground up and elevate them and empower them so they can make music. There's enough experts out there saying that this is crap, blah, blah. I'm happy when people can ignore them and they just get to it and realize that there's great products at an affordable price that are really helping people.
Right.
So, a few things. What have you got new here at NAMM?
So here at NAMM, we're really excited to debut the new Revelation microphone. So the Revelation microphone, the MXL Revelation, is widely regarded as the best mic we ever built. About a decade ago, we set out to make the best microphone we could. So we decided that we were going to pack a large EF86 pentode tube inside there. We wanted a pad. We thought, okay, what else can we do? We want a variable control knob on the power supply to allow you to transition between polar patterns. So you can go from a cardioid to omnidirectional to figure 8.
Great.
And it's not a step, it's a continuous knob. So you can phase between all those different polar patterns. And that was the Revelation mic. It became legendary in its own right because it was such a great microphone. It's toe-to-toe with a lot of the legendary German mics that we all know.
So what have you improved on number 2?
Well, so what happened with the Revelation is at some point, some parts of the circuit became very difficult to reproduce. And so we set out to make the Revelation 2, which uses new sustainable parts in the circuit. And also, too, we wanted to bring the price point down so it's more accessible. Like a lot of the guys that you pointed out start out using MXL mics, in their studios, and they start with those, but we want them to use them their entire musical career. So the new Revelation 2 that we're looking at here, we restyled it, we gave it a black chrome grille and bass.
That's great.
We rebuilt the circuit, but it is very much true to the original. It sounds nearly identical. It actually has a little bit more richness, and a little bit more full-bodied sound. But you have the pad, you've got the variable control knob on the power supply. It's very much the same mic, but it comes in at less than half the cost of the original Revelation. You can pick one of these guys up for about $499.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got a high pass filter IC at 125. So great on acoustic instruments, acoustic guitars. Perfect for me. Sits beautifully in the track. Yeah, great. So $499, lovely. And I presume, does it come with the cage as well?
Comes with a shock mount. Comes with a solid flight.
That's
case,
nice.
And it's really an amazing mic. We've had really quite a bit of reaction on social media and all of our channels that we're seeing. Just the legend of the Revelation lives on, and the new Revelation 2 is going to be even better.
Wonderful. Thanks for showing it to us.
My pleasure.
Freddie from Nugen, how are you?
I'm good, nice to see you. How are you?
Great to be seen, and thanks for putting these nice, comfortable chairs here.
I wish I could say that was my decision.
What do you have here that's new for us to check out?
So, the newest thing we have is an update for our SEQS linear phase spline EQ. So this is our EQ plugin. It works in left and right or mid-side modes. You have 3 different EQ curves that you can assign to different channels, so it can get pretty complex. It also has this freehand direct draw interface, which is really nice for getting those kind of smooth EQ curves. It has match functionality, so you can use that to record a sample from one audio source and apply the frequency profile from that to another. So that's really useful. Say, for example, if you have 2 vocal takes with the same singer, which might have been recorded with a different microphone, you can kind of measure the difference between the frequency profiles from those, and SEQS will generate an EQ curve which compensates for those differences.
Wonderful.
So yeah, if you've got a different microphone, or say for example the singer's had a heavy night the night before and you want to get them sounding up to scratch compared to the previous day, you can also use that as a reference for mastering. Say there's someone else's track that you really like the sound of, you really like, I don't know, the way the high end of that hits. Yeah, you can apply the same frequency profile to whatever track you're mastering with SEQS. It also has the morph EQ. You can set up an A curve and a B curve, and SEQS will seamlessly transition between those two. So if you've got a section in a song which requires a slightly different EQ, but you don't want to just have it kind of immediately cut, you want a gradual fade, you can use SEQS. You can either loop that or have it as a one-shot thing, and that can be automated and linked with the timeline on Pro Tools or whatever DAW that you're using. The 2 main things that we've updated are in the match EQ. You can now record up to 90 seconds for the sample. So previously, I think it was either 5 or 10 seconds. It was short. So now you can get a really accurate
an average of a whole vocal take, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've also
and a mix.
Yes,
yeah, a minute and a half of the mix.
Anything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You could even take a minute and a half of me rambling on now. Who
there
knows?
You go. If you want the Freddie vocal sound from the Rode microphone, off you go. Actually, no, it's a Sennheiser. Sorry.
It's a microphone. We've also added in a resizable interface, so you can get it as big or as small as you like.
That's a big deal. We were just filming a course for a particular plugin manufacturer, and their plugins were not resizable.
Well, now ours is.
That's a good idea.
So there you go.
It's a good idea.
So that's everything that's new for the show. So yeah, SEQS.
Yeah, when you're doing like little detailed stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
You can get really get in there, see exactly what you're doing.
Great.
So, great.
Fantastic.
Thanks a lot.
We're with Roller from Izotope. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fantastic. What do we have new, or what do you have new, I should say, here at NAMM 2020?
Well, there's lots of new stuff happening every year, but this year, what we're really focusing on is a lot of post stuff. So Dialogue Match, which came out about 2 or 3 months ago, is our post-production sort of focused Pro Tools only dialogue machine. And so basically what that's going to do is listen to some audio. It'll take the ambience of that dialogue. It'll take the reverb of that dialogue and the EQ of that dialogue.
Amazing.
It'll recreate that in a generator so that you can say, I want reverb to sound exactly the same across this dialogue and this dialogue.
Very smart.
Yes. Also, lots of really fun musical applications, though it's not its intended purpose. You can say, wow, I really like the reverb on that string section or that pluck. I want that. And
I've got to hear this in action because that sounds incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, so it's brand new. Izotope actually made an acquisition of Exponential Audio, which is Michael Carnes. He's a really brilliant guy, and he made these wonderful reverb generators, and we're using their algorithms for the first time in this plugin. So really big stuff for us as well.
That's a really smart idea. because I actually used to do a lot of production sound. When I first moved to Los Angeles and I was playing in bands and stuff like that, I would do a lot of production sound. And when you came to do overdubs, the problem was is you couldn't match, even if you got a room tone, which sometimes people would forget, you couldn't match that same sound. So there you are in a studio in a nice, dry environment. First of all, you don't have a boom, and even if you do, it just doesn't act the same. So that's a huge application.
Yeah, definitely. And even when you don't have like a tool like this and you're trying to capture reverb tails or something like that, you have to make sure you have the perfect reverb tail or like the perfect silence to grab the ambience and stuff like that. And now using basically what we had is from RX7, we already had ambience match, but it wasn't like weaponized in this way. And EQ match already existed in Ozone, but now it's finally drilled to the post sort of picture. Yeah.
That's great. Love that.
Here at the NAMM 2020 show, we have the Mu X mixer. What the heck is that? It's a hybrid mixing console. It's got EQ, saturation, compression in every channel. It's like this. You got 8 channels. You got 2 bands of EQ, saturation from the red knob, an all-in-one compressor with the white knob, gain, threshold, attack release, all adjusted magically for you behind the scenes with one knob. And then you have the fader. Now you get 8 of those, like EQ, saturation, compression. All of that gets processed. We sum it here, and we put it through a master bus compressor here. Now it's a hybrid mixing console. So you have the EQ is digital, the saturation is analog, the compression is analog. We do the summing back in the digital domain, that way we have the maximum signal to noise ratio, but then we send it back into the APD box for one more round of analog processing with the analog master bus compressor. This way we're maximizing signal to noise ratio, minimizing modulation in other channels caused by distortion if you have a really saturated channel. Everything is automatable, session recall is instant. The APB16 is a programmable analog processor. So besides the Mu X mixture, we also have compressors, limiters, signal saturators, all kinds of stuff. And we're just getting started. Let me emphasize that part again. We are just getting started. We spent 3.5 years making this box, and now we're gonna make all kinds of cool products for us. And if you're getting an APB16, oh yeah, we're gonna treat you pretty good for a long time.
Okay, this is our latest addition to our product line. It's the BBDI. Originally, we designed this to be used with our 610 comp limiters because we had a lot of calls for people wanting to track bass guitar, keyboards, and so we came up with this little box, really low distortion.
Yeah.
Huge improvement over most of the passive DIs on the market.
It's incredibly light too.
Yes.
The weight, it's nearly nothing. It's incredible.
It doesn't weigh much at all, but we're really proud of it. It'll handle a lot of input level without overload. But the big thing you'll notice is in the mid band, between 100 and 500 cycles, really good articulation, and above 10,000 cycles. So for a passive DI, that's quite unusual. But we're real proud of the box. It's in the $300 range. It's not a lot of money, but originally designed, to go with these boxes, but they found their way into a lot of different applications in other studios. And keyboards sound exceptionally good on these. And that was not intended, but B3s, people use.
Yeah,
works really well on those. Really fattens up the signal.
You make it. I mean, when you have a DI that's super clear and precise, it can.
Yeah, and
that makes total sense.
Well, that's what I've heard from a lot of the better guitar players that I deal with is they can hear things they haven't heard before.
Wow,
which is a big deal.
Yes, that's amazing.
And that goes for even active DIs that they own the better ones, and they were really surprised because it was just supposed to be another box, but it's not.
Matt Dorsey here with IK Multimedia at NAMM 2020. Welcome. We got a lot of great products that we want to show you today. But first off, I want to point out we've got the Axe IO. This came out last year. This is our newer interface. It's a high definition interface with 2 in and 5 out. One of those outs happens to be on the front. It's like an amp out, which is really handy. But what's really cool about this is we got a lot of really positive feedback about the Z-Tone section on this unit. The Z-Tone section incorporates this switch here, which you can switch between an active and passive. So if you've got an active pickup on your guitar or your bass, you can just bypass the gain staging in here. It gives a more direct signal path. You can switch between a pure circuit or a JFET circuit. The pure circuit is just that, pure, uncolored. JFET is going to be a little bit warmer, add some harmonic distortion.
Incredible.
And then this dial is what you use to adjust the impedance of your incoming signal. And what that does is it really does adjust the tone of your guitar, and you can also adjust the feel of how you're playing, because basically you're loading your pickups. So this Z-Tone section, like I said, we got a lot of feedback on it, and so what we did was we included it in 3 new products. This is the Axe IO Solo, which is 1 in, and 3 out. Again, incorporating the Z-Tone section. And then we have 2 other products. We added that Z-Tone section to. First is the Z-Tone DI, direct in with the Z-Tone section.
Perfect.
And then you've got a line out here so you can go straight to your amp.
Incredible, yeah.
And then we've got the Z-Tone Stomp Box, which incorporates a buffer and a boost. So you've got your Z-Tone section here. The buffer is going to help cut down on a lot of the noise. If you get a lot of effects, you tend to generate a bunch of noise. This helps to condition that. And then it's also got a 10 dB boost.
Yeah.
So this is made out of aluminum, nice lightweight but rugged, so you can add it to your effects pedal and not add a whole lot of weight. Whereas this is made out of metal.
Oh, incredible. And I don't see a lot of pedals having that buffer feature as well.
No.
Yeah, that's incredibly unique.
Very unique.
My name is David Sauls, and my company is Wireworld Cable Technology. We're here representing our Wireworld Pro Audio brand, and we make cables for studios and musicians and lots of different applications. We're showing our very special power cords, which you can see are really quite a bit different than the others that are out there. They're flat, which makes them really convenient to use. They pack very small. They're extremely well shielded, and they make improvements in sound quality beyond any other power cords we know of, because they're actually very effective filters, like a power conditioner. So we call them power conditioning cords. And this model, the Stratus, is very popular now, makes improvements in a guitar amp or studio gear or monitors that are really surprising.
SSL2 and SSL2 Plus are brand new USB audio interfaces, which we've designed for the next generation of aspiring musicians, producers, and creators. So as you can see, they both come in a similar footprint. They're both finished with this lovely brushed aluminium faceplate. And the SSL2 Plus has a few extra knobs and features which we can go over and kind of explain the difference between the two. But I mean, what's common between the two are the fact that they are both USB powered. They work at all the major sample rates up to and including 192. They are class compliant on Mac, so you just plug them in and they work. They are on Windows, we provide a dedicated ASIO driver. And they connect to your computer via a USB C-to-C cable or a C-to-A. We actually include one of each in the box. So no matter you've got an older laptop, a newer laptop, whatever, they'll work straight away.
That's fantastic. So now I'm curious, also maybe what was the desire to take this leap into kind of a new subsection for solid state logic?
Well, I think in the past kind of 18 months, we've been on a bit of a journey. It started with Fusion, our mix bus processor. Yeah. It then continued with 6, our desktop mixer, which kind of like redefined a new kind of high end in the small desktop mixer category. But you know, I think as a company, it's important that we keep on evolving and stay relevant, especially with the up and coming people who are making music out of their bedrooms. And it's really nice as a brand to be able to move in that direction finally. You know, we would love people to start out on one of these interfaces, work their way up through the whole range, ending up on a console maybe one day. You never know.
So we're at Steinberg with Greg. How are you?
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. What is new?
So we were just debuted, and we are shipping our new AXR4U interface.
Great.
Last year we showed the AXR4T, which is a Thunderbolt 2, and it's basically the same interface. It's $100 less, but with a USB 3.1 connection here.
Great.
And what makes this kind of unique is it has 4 high-quality mic preamps, and it has physical modeling process with the onboard DSP, where we could have the Rupert Neve Silk processing.
Yep.
So you could choose to have it be silk red or blue, and you could dial in the amount.
We did a
the
review with these, and they
saturation.
sounded great.
Yeah,
really good.
So we had the 4 mic pre's. In addition to that, we have 8 analog line level inputs. We have ADAT, AES, word clock, MIDI in and out, 2 independent headphones. And it also has onboard DSP for like vintage compression and EQ and 0 latency monitoring with reverb. And a lot of programs, you have to always kind of use like a third-party control panel, and it's always decoupled from the DAW.
Sure. Yeah.
And what makes this unique when running a Steinberg DAW like Cubase or Nuendo is once you have that input selected, we could just go directly to the DAW, and we'll see our AXR4 all the settings directly here. So at this point, I could choose whether I want phantom power, a pad, high pass, low pass filter. We could access the onboard effects. So I could say I want like my vintage compressor or my vintage EQ, so 6-band parametric EQ, and also with the RevX reverb that you could monitor. So this way, it's almost like a recording console experience. And one of the great things also, it's a 32-bit integer converter. And it will support sample rates up to 384K, which is great for people doing sound design. So you have a lot more data to work with when doing extreme pitch shifting.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And what we always love about Steinberg, quite frankly, is it has every kind of connectability on the back you could possibly imagine.
So if you have converters that you know and love and want to use that, or mic preamps, you know, it's a lot of great options for interconnectivity.
Yeah. There's something about the Germans that think that way. They want to make everything integrate really well. And yes, it is nice that it runs straight inside the DAW. You don't need a separate mixer with the other mixer as well. So great stuff.